which aims to implement FCTC Article 5.3 by prohibiting interactions between the tobacco industry and the government. At para po sa amin na nasa Child Rights Network, mahalaga po ito na pananggalang para ang kapakanan ng mga bata ay hindi masanggi ng nasa kabilang panig ng advokasya na ito. Pangatlo, i-cancel na po natin, no, using the slang of young people, yung harm reduction narrative. Dahil we wish to reiterate na ang totoong harm reduction is a public health strategy. Hindi po dito dapat involved ang pag-introduce ng new and addictive products into the open market. Very concerned po kami kasi alam po natin ang sinasabi ng mga studies na ang prefrontal cortex ay nade-develop at 25 years old. So we're talking about young people. Sabi nga ng Global Youth Survey, Global Youth Tobacco Survey, 1 in 7 Filipino students, 13 to 15 years old, ay na-expose na sa mga e-cigarettes and vapes. So nakakabahala po na may ganitong naratibo na naglulure sa ating mga kabataan na sumubok, no, ng mga makabagong paraan, mga makabagong tobacco. At panghuli, we wish that this Congress will pass the bill regulating electronic smoking devices. Para po sa aming mga advocates, ito ang totoong nagcha-champion ng karapatan ng mga bata at kabataan, hindi ang vape law. And kapag pinasa po ng Kongresong ito ang mandatory bill or a mandatory law na ito, it will undo the errors of the vape law at babalik sa 21 years old, no? Dahil ibinaba po ng vape law sa 18. So kami pong mga nasa child rights advocacy, palaging pataas dapat, katulad din po ng sinusuportahan nila Madam Chair, pataas dapat yung age. Bakit natin gustong babaan? Kasi marami na tayong wins pero bakit ibinalik sa 18 years old? At sinusuportahan din po yun ng studies na 25 years old nga na develop yung prefrontal cortex. So bakit ina-expect natin na yung 18 years old kaya na nilang ma-discern, no? Lalo na yung tungkol sa kanilang kalusugan. We strongly emphasize the urgency of strengthening tobacco control measures and protecting our policies from the influence of the tobacco industry. So please, hands off our children and young people. Huwag niyo po silang targetin. And we will work together to prevent a future generation of Filipinos grappling with lifelong, irreversible, and transgenerational consequences arising from nicotine addiction and all the other harms brought by the use of these unsafe products. Kanina pa po namin naririnig yung balanced position, and we respect our Philippine delegation, ating pong mga legislators. Pero kapag po kapakanan ng mga bata at kabataan yung pinag-uusapan, biased po kami. At biased po kami dun sa kanilang kapakanan. Maraming salamat po, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Very nice. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can I just request the Senior Deputy Executive Secretary to take that into consideration? Take a second look at using the word balance. Kasi nga, for advocates and it's, I know from a negotiator, from a DFA point of view, balance, but really from an advocate point of view, it's either you're pro or anti. I'm just saying, take a look at it kasi may mga meetings pa naman kayo. And thank you very much for that, short but very strong advocacy.
And then we'll call on Attorney Paula Tangking from Action for Economic Reforms. They were very active with us during the syntax deliberations and many others.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We already submitted our position paper, but we'd like to point out some highlights. We note that it's ironic for us, the Philippines, who have been looked upon in the international, international as one of the best practices in tobacco taxation, to be awarded the Dirty Ashtray Award. So it's kind of ironic. Nanalo tayo sa isa, and yet parang it's a shame na we did receive this award. We just want to highlight some recommendations, Madam Chair. First, that the Philippine government must always take into account the overriding concern and framework for our participation in the FCTC in other WHO activities and similar multilateral international hearings is public health. Tobacco control is essentially about public health. So our government delegates to FCTC and similar conventions or summits must be made accountable to advancing and defending public health. The FCTC is not the place for the government delegation to even balance health and competing commercial or for-profit interests. Next, given that FCTC is primarily about health, we join the stand of the other civil societies here that the Philippine delegation must be led by the Secretary of Health. Other members of the delegation must take the cue from the Department of Health on FCTC issues. With due respect to the Deputy Executive Secretary, the DFA earlier through Yusek Jose acknowledged that FCTC is highly about health and regulation and that on this matter, they adhere to the Department of Health. And yet, that is not what we have seen so far. And finally, Madam Chair, while we are discussing several issues on the recent COP10, and as mentioned earlier by the head of the delegation that they plan to have an enforcement framework to stop selling e-cigarettes to the youth, the Philippine government must insist on the correct definition and practice of harm reduction, especially on the use of electronic nicotine and non-nicotine devices. When even the industry recognizes the need for the regulation because of their harmful effects, the issue of it, not just on sale, but also on marketing to non-smokers, especially the youth, must also be addressed. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Very much. I'll remind DOH and particularly FDA, no, that submit so that before the next hearing, I want to see what you have already in what you have done in terms of the equipment, the personnel you need for proper testing, registration, and so on and so forth. And whatever collaboration you have, because I think before you arrived, I also gave a bit of history that during the time of Secretary Mon Lopez, he told me that they already had equipment. And then in the hearing 3 months ago, they told me they're buying. So paikot-ikot lang tayo, niloloko lang ako. Kahit ako, niloloko ko na may equipment, walang equipment, may tao, walang tao. Anyway, I'd like to also end on this note, no, to show you, Dr. Sakate, please. So these are examples of some vapes, e-cigs. This one is called Korean dessert. Clearly, as you would know, Yusek Sanchez, outlawed. You're not allowed to show pictures of desserts, okay? But at the very least, and of course, I have no idea if this is accurate, meron siyang list of ingredients. So that's why we really know, because technically, even before they put this here, just like any other food, cosmetic product, you test it kung tama yung nilalagay niyang laman yan. Oh, and then this one has nothing. This has nothing. This doesn't even try to comply with the laws. So I hope you understand, those of you who are not in the health and trade, because it's the two that are primarily involved. This is what we deal with on a day-to-day basis. Okay? Very attractive to kids. This is very neon, very metallic. Very
Madam Chair, on that point lang.
Watermelon.
On that point, I remember every budget hearing, we asked the Optical Media Board, especially nung wala pang Netflix, ilan ang nahuli yung pirated? Kasi nga, alam naman natin kahit saan pwede kang bumili ng pirated. So, sinong agency ang dapat proactive na tinitignan yung mga shops and making sure na...
DTI.
Hindi. DTI. So do you already have task force going there? Yeah. So maybe next hearing you can report and show us how do you...
They said they issued thousands of showcase orders, but show cause orders. But I was like, oh, and then...
But hindi ba huli ka agad pag nakita mo doon na patently illegal? Sa online. Yeah, anyway, can you present? But ang point ko, magandang example yung Optical Media Board. Di ba na whether it was Senator Bong Revilla or whoever, nandito they'll say, 10,000 ho na confiscate namin, 1,000 ho sa Green Hills, 1,000 ganon. Kasi nga, the point is, may regulation na. So if it's less than 100 meters, sarado na yan. If they're selling yung bawal, tanggalin yung mayor's permit niyan. Diba? So let's just show some teeth dun sa, nandiyan na yung regulation eh. So you have to follow that. But if they violate it, let's show na we mean business. No? So I'm not saying you're not. I just want to see in the next hearing, with your permission, Madam Chair, na, di ba, na kung, kasi ang Pilipino sumusunod pagka ano, alam nilang i-enforce eh. Pero pag tingin nilang hindi, di ba, itutuloy lang nila.
Yes.
Madam Chair, we were able to get some of the specifics, because as mentioned earlier, that we do have testing for the devices. But what the budget that was cut for us, and so that prevented us from purchasing another equipment, was for e-liquid and HTP vapor gas. So if there is any support that can be given to us or in
Who
collaboration
cut
with
your
FDA,
budget?
we was requested at the budget submission level, and then for the 2023, but it was not budgeted.
So kasama siguro sa conspiracy yun, na kinakat yung budget ng testing. I wouldn't be surprised, seriously.
So in that regard,
But
we would.
sadly, there's so many people in your office who knows that I'm the advocate. How come no one told me? You don't even try. You don't even try to get a bigger budget. I would have given you a bigger budget. I would have sacrificed other advocacies I have to give the budget to you.
We did
Because
submit
you
for
don't
additional
bother to
budget.
take. And then kayo naman sa health, you know that I'm counting on you. You know that I'm counting on you to have our backs, to look after these kids, because DTI, that is not at the forefront of their consciousness. Wala naman sa mandate niyo yung health, nasa sa inyo. So every step of the way, you should be there watching. Nobody brought it to my attention. It's very annoying. O so ano nga tayo yun? Titigan. Titigan tayo ngayon. Titigan tayo tinlex budget. Wala tayong pan-testing. My God, puro lokohan ang ginagawa natin dito.
Madam Chair, there's an easy solution to that. Ban the sale until na-test. Magbabayad pa yung tobacco industry para bumili ng makina para sa inyo. Ganun lang kasimple yun. I mean, I don't know we'll do it, but that's the simple thing. Subukan nyo, FDA, walang
Sige.
gamit. Bibilan niya ng tobacco para lang gumalaw yung sales nila. It's just, I mean, it's not only the tobacco industry. Diba? If I sell pork and I cannot sell it habang walang inspectors, I'll pay for the inspectors para mabenta.
And we will continue to work with the DILG also in terms of enforcement, because part of our limitation is really in closing down some of, taking out the retraction of mayor's permits is probably the more effective way of doing things.
Madam Chair, sorry on that point lang Kasi when you catch people violating the law, all you have to do is call the police. So better talaga kung may DLG, may kasama na kayo. But let's say you're in the store, they're selling illegal.
Yes. I mean,
all you have to do is call the police and
Yes,
go
of
there and
course.
say
No,
bawal to. But
Yes.
I hear you. I'm just saying
institutional.
yung optical
I mean,
media board kasi wala din naman silang
Yes, yes.
pero until Netflix was
Yes, we continue po. We do po. we do po.
nagkakaintindihan tayo.
Apo,
but just-
we do that po. Just institutional lang po.
I'll end on this note, no? For all of those who have expressed surprise that this delegation received the Dirty Ashtray Award, one of the provisions that was questioned was the delegation concern on the comprehensive ban on advertisement, no? Comprehensive ban on advertisement. And as I try to digest why would you want there to be advertisement of attractive colors, of flavors for the youth? Why would you want it if you're trying to protect the youth? We should be for a comprehensive ban. And yet here we are, hindi tayo pumapayag ng may comprehensive ban tayo. And yet yung industry, comprehensive yung tactics niya. Including itong pag-confuse sa inyo na nagtataka pa kayo, bakit tayo nagkaroon ng Dirty Ashtray Award? My ability to communicate it was probably not even comprehensive enough. Thankfully, my brother bothered to take time and try to explain it from a different point of view para lalong maintindihan ng mga nalilito kung bakit we deserve the Dirty Ashtray Award. And then we hear that after all these years of telling me that may budget and merong equipment na nandyan na daw, I'll find out na nakat yung budget, walang nag-abala, mag-request para madagdagan natin yung budget for the testing. And then we're arguing about the testing, pero wala naman tayong pang-test. It's a very comprehensive approach to making sure that our products are out there poisoning our youth. That is the approach, and that they're successful. And if any of you here, because all of you except for a few from the civil society, are in bed with the tobacco industry, that is a crime. And this committee will not stand for it. By not acting on your job, you are committing a crime. So work with me so we can protect the children of this country. Work with me so that those who have addictions can truly seek the medical help they need and not be persuaded by unregulated advertisement that simply tell them this is a safer alternative, this is a less harmful alternative. May I know from DOH, and very quickly, because I know you want to say something, but very quickly, may I know from FDA, has any of these tobacco companies gone to FDA and requested for, what do you call that permit, that permission to sell a product that is harm reduction, anong tawag doon? A cessation device, meron bang sa kanila?
As to date, ma'am, Madam Chair, there's no application
Oh,
because we
see?
don't have any policy yet po. It is yet to be, to be determined.
Yeah, but regardless kung may policy ka o hindi, may lumapit ba?
Wala pa po.
O wala nga. At
But-
magkaroon ka na rin ng policy, di ba? Para pag may lumapit, meron. But my point is, they're all trying to sell it. They'll say in any possible way, they will say that it's less harmful, it is less harmful. And yet they will not go to FDA to get a certification that it is less harmful.
Madam Chair, just one clarification lang kasi I'm concerned about the tobacco farmers. But I want to clarify, iba yung tobacco industry, iba yung farmers. Tama ba na yung e-cigs, you burn or you steam the tobacco? So may kilalaman yung tobacco farmers, tama?
Non-burning.
Di ba? Oo. Pero yung vape, oil yun eh. Di ba? So wag natin idama yung tobacco farmers kasi the reality is pag lumaganap pa nga yung vape, lalong mawawala yung tobacco farmer kasi they don't supply it eh. Kaya we refer to tobacco because it's the tobacco companies who are shifting to vape, no? Just so that the tobacco farmers will also know who's on their side or not eh. Kasi parang natin pinapalabas para sa tobacco farmers to, may balance. Hindi yung vape is not for the tobacco farmers, no? Anyone is free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I just wanted to clarify that. So we're battling here now two industries, the vape industry and the tobacco industry. Kasi they're mostly the same company, but it's a different industry. Diba? Parang soft drinks and something else unhealthy, sugar beverages, which is less unhealthy than soft drinks.
Okay. The time is late. I know you've given us most of your day. I thank you very much. Thank you for your patience also. It is not a comfortable discussion, so I appreciate everyone's professionalism. It is my job it is not a task that I chose, and yet it is my job to be able to sit through these uncomfortable hearings, and hopefully everybody comes here with good intentions, but not everybody will, as we have seen in previous hearings. But it is my intention to make everybody as comfortable as possible and never to humiliate anyone or to put words in your mouth. You're always welcome to clarify the statements you make. And if you want to follow up with a written statement or to talk to my staff, you're free to do that. On that note, I will suspend so you can all go about your day. Thank you for your time.